These are the top 5 chess traps for beginners. So basically the first 3 chess traps will be with the white pieces and the last 2 will be the black pieces. Just a fair disclaimer, these are basically win quick traps, so if they don't work, you will likely get into a bad position, but this is for beginners and not like intermediate or advanced, so it's likely that your opponents will fall into these traps most of the time. Okay, so this first trap is with c6, and also if you think these traps are not going to happen, they will, because I've collected traps that only happen in the top 5 most popular moves. So yeah, they will work if you're in the beginner level. So this first trap is in the Caro-Kann defense, e4, c6. We're going to play knight c3. Most popular move by far is d5. And we're going to play this move, queen e2. And basically, in any Caro-Kann positions, most beginners will just take. This is one of the most popular moves, second most popular move. They will take, and then you will take back. And the thing here is that normally in the Caro-Kann, you'd like to play knight f6 and then take back with deep e-pawn, but now it's pinned. So so black will be like, I don't really want to take back like this and damage my structure, so I'm going to play knight to d7, so when I play this, I can recapture with the knight. But the problem here is that they have blundered knight d6 checkmate. Okay, so this next trap is a little less, like, reputable, and it is the famous fried liver. Okay, so e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. Okay, so bishop c4 is the first starting move, and the point of a fried liver is target this f7 square by going knight to g5, but we can't really do that right now because the queen covers that square. So we have to wait for black to play bishop f6. Because if they play something like this, you can't do this, because then the queen just takes, and you're going to have to do something different. But most popular move by far is definitely knight f6, because black will just want to develop both their knights. And now you're going to go knight to g5. There are many options, of course, and one of them is bishop c5. And this is the Traxler counterattack, which is very potent, and if you want me to do a video on it, then make sure you say that in the comments below. But most people will play d5, the main line. And here the main line is undoubtedly knight a5, but if you're facing a beginner, most of them will just take knight d5, because you can't take here because your bishop's blocked, and this knight is well protected by the queen, and this queen also hits the knight. So beginners will be like, ooh, this is really nice. But then you detonate the explosive bomb, knight f7, and they are both basically forced. Otherwise, it's a fork, and you're going to win some material. So after they take, they're going to be like, well, you just gave me your knight. What is this for? Now you're going to play queen f3, check, and notice how it attacks both these pieces. Now, the best move is king e6, and white is completely winning here. But just to say, most beginners won't like moving their king up, so if they move somewhere like king g8, believe it or not, it's mate. Bishop d5. It's mate, but you have to give up your queen, of course, and then your bishop, but that's mate. But likely you won't get that, and they'll move up here. Now it's like +1 around, and now you're just going to go knight c3, and you're just piling up pressure on this knight, and eventually you'll win. Okay, there's like this line here, knight b4, queen e4, c6 just defending, you kick out the knight, d4, and it's complicated. This is a complicated position, but I assure you, if you're a beginner, most people won't play king e6. I've been a beginner before, and they don't really play king e6. They will more than likely play something like this or this, in which you will just take the knight, and you have some f7 threats. So this next trap is in the English opening, so we'll start out with c4 this time, and most popular is e5. We're going to develop our queenside knights, and then our kingside knight. And now g6 is one of the most popular moves. Just they want to prepare this fianchetto for the bishop, and now you're going to play d4, just striking the center, and they're going to capture, because if you don't do anything, we're going to push, expand in the center, and if they don't play bishop g7, just defending this pawn, then we're probably just going to take. So they'll take, and then we do not recapture, and we jump in the center with our knight. Bishop g7, best move, and then we team up with this knight here, and we attack this queen. There is no place for this queen to move, so they're going to have to block it. And they will likely play this, because if you play this, it's not greatly good, but this pin, when the knight is very unsupported, plus this pawn is gonna die like this, beginners will definitely find a way to lose this position immediately, just like this. And this knight is going to be lost. So they will likely play knight to e7. And now what you're going to do here is you're going to play knight takes d4. It seems like you're giving up a full knight, but there is a deadly trap behind this. If they take with the bishop, then, or actually, let me say what happens after knight takes d4. It's simply bishop e7, and the queen is smothered to death, and the queen has nowhere to move. They'll take, and you're just up a queen. Simply, but if they play bishop d4, this is where the fun happens. Queen takes d4, sacrificing the queen. And believe it or not, the most popular move is taking the queen. And now it's checkmate in 2. You can pause the video if you want to find it. It's knight f6, and then bishop h6, checkmate. Okay, so this next trap is going to be with the black pieces. This is going to be the Stafford Gambit, e4, e5. And we basically play knight f6 to Petrov's defense, and we allow white to recapture our free e5 pawn. And then we give white another trade. We offer another trade. The most popular move is just take, and we want to take with this d pawn. Very important to take with the d pawn, not the b pawn. And one of the most popular moves is d3, and then we're just going to develop our bishop to c5. We have some eyes on this, f2 square. Most best move and most popular move is bishop e2. And then the plan we want to get here, bishop g4, but bishop e7 prevented that. So we're going to play h5, and this furthermore supports this move. They're going to castle, second or third most popular move, and now here we play knight g4. If they take, then you take like this, and we got some open rooks, and this will prove to be very dangerous, especially for beginners. So they will likely think your knight is annoying and kick it out to h3. And now here comes the brilliant move, queen d6. Now this one's not so apparent, because it feels like they can just take your knight. But the problem with taking the knight is that after you take with the h-pawn, checkmate is unstoppable. Computers suggest something like, oops, not like this, e5, but it's all going to end the same thing. And if they think you can play g3, guess what? They can't, because this pawn is actually pinned, and this is mate in 1. And for our final trap, we have the Albin counter gambit, which happens after d4, d5. So if you have trouble playing against d4, this trap is the right one for you. And Queen's Gambit is a very popular opening with c4, and then you're going to play e5. And so the main line here is to take on e5, and then we're going to push in d4. And d4 basically does one thing, really. It just takes away this natural developing square for the knight, and then we're going to develop here, and we're going to win back this pawn. And so a popular move here is d3, and we're going to give a check. And here, white has to go here, but it's not so apparent why, because most beginners won't like this because they have doubled pawns. Queen h4 check can be very powerful, and it's not very pleasant for white. So more than likely, they will play something like bishop d2. And here you're going to take the e3 pawn, and it's like, what? You just gave up your bishop for free. But if they take the bishop, now keep in mind, if they don't take the bishop, double d pawns, queen h4 check is powerful, because after something like this, you have, let me just play it out for you. You have like this stuff, and it can be really dangerous, you know. Knight f3, you can just take, and then take this e3 pawn. It's very dangerous for white. So more than likely, they'll take your bishop, which is definitely by far the most popular move, because it just looks like you're giving up free bishops. It's not really clear why. But there's actually a brilliant combination here. You'll take on f2, and if you take, obviously, white just loses their queen. But white's going to be like, ha, I tricked you. I'm going to move king e2. And now if you try and promote to a queen, I'm not going to take your queen. I'm instead going to take this queen with check, and then I'm going to take your queen, and material is the same. And And you cannot play bishop g4 because I just blocked with here, and now you're actually down some material. But we play the brilliant pawn takes g1, promoting to a knight check. Now, this king can't really move anywhere. If it just goes back, I mean, queen h4, you're up a knight, so it shouldn't be too hard. But more than likely, they'll take the knight, and they'll be like, okay, just give me a knight. Thanks, man. Bishop g4 check. And here we see why we took that knight, because the knight would normally block, but we took that knight, which check. So now the king has to move and surrender their queen. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you want me to check out some more opening traps or any openings, then please do leave a comment below and make sure you like and subscribe.